Hi, good morning. I'm Michael Jardim. I am the CEO of Engineers Without Borders Brazil, some data. So Brazil is the seventh world economy, just after England, and the fifth in world population, with more than 200 million people. And if you do the math, you're going to see that our per capita income is really low. It's $11,000 a year. So 6.5 million people live with less than $1 a day. More or less 10% of Brazilian is on poverty. 18 million people, 9% of the population volunteered in Brazil last year. In the US, it's 35%.
In your presentation, you mentioned that only 9% of Brazilians volunteer yearly, compared to 35% in the United States. What do you think is the reason for this disparity in the percentage of volunteers, and what do you think can be done?
People will be able to volunteer if there are serious organization to manage the volunteers. So before I started at the Engineers Without Borders, I tried to volunteer, and none organization could accept me because they couldn't manage all the volunteers. So the first thing is you have to have good organization with results, with focus, and serious with transparency. And the Engineers Without Borders Brazil is one of those. So we have more than 300 volunteers that wouldn't be volunteering if we didn't exist. So we have changed the sector. History. We started at Viçosa, Minas Gerais. Minas Gerais is a state in Brazil, a really big state, in 2010. And this beautiful university where I studied. We are reaching 20 chapters. We have now one professional chapter, going to the second one.
In your presentation, you mentioned that you just ran EWB Brazil's first national conference. Tell me a little bit more about this conference, and tell me a little bit more about what were some of the key outcomes from the conference.
The conference was really awesome. We were expecting 60 people. We got almost 100, and from 6 or 7 different states. People traveled more than 1,000 kilometers to be there. So that's really amazing how much experience we could change and how they could back home with new network, with new experience from the other chapters, from the other projects, and how they could get this experience and really apply that in their chapter. It's a free training program to qualify professional, actually to form professional electrician, plumber, and painter. They don't make a lot of money, but they make considerable more money than they would if they were not qualified. So the course or the training is happening 8 Saturdays, and we generated this year more than $45,000 a year in wealth. Lavras chapter, it's a kindergarten. They build at schools. And this is like a consulting project it's called Projeto Marolo project. And they qualify these producers to avoid waste and develop better products.
One of the novel ideas that you mentioned in your presentation was this idea of using the aluminum cans that are used to store soda and milk to create solar water heaters in Brazil.
That project and that product is really amazing. It's a solar heater that we can warm our heater water using material that would be wasted. And actually it was published by a professor, and what the chapter, Viçosa chapters, did. they did exactly what an engineer is supposed to do. They get an idea, a concept, and they applied it to improve people's life. So because of that, that's one of the most loved projects we have. Environmental education for children. And this is a class to help people go to university. Itabira, they raise some clothes for old people. And this restore of wheelchair. Thank you very much.